It's Chuck and Z.
Hang on, Chuck and Z. It disappeared. Sorry.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck and Z show. Of course, I'm Chuck.
I'm Z.
And today we are actually taking a little bit of a step back in time. Some of you guys know that we used to do another podcast called Primetime Chuckles. We did that podcast with our very good friend, Primetime Steve Denham. Steve is a friend of mine from way back. We actually worked on a couple of independent films together for a little while, and he's such a great guy, great stand-up comedian. I got to pull him in. I got to catch his act a few times, and funny as can be. He's actually, I'll be honest. At first, I was like, all right, so we're gonna go see our friend's comedy show, which is always a treacherous endeavor, right? Because you may end up having to be honest. And
wasn't it one of those nights where like it was just you just go in if you just started?
No. He actually had been. This wasn't.
I remember seeing.
No,
him.
he was hosting an open mic.
That's right. That's right. It was an open mic.
He was hosting an open mic, but but we went and cracked me up the whole time, which shouldn't have been a surprise to me. I've known the guy for so long, but and then we did about 80 episodes of Primetime Chuckles. With Steve.
That's crazy to think.
We had one dedicated follower.
From Romania.
I think it was Croatia.
Croatia.
But he made sure to let us know he was listening and watching.
Yeah.
But so without further ado, I've built the man up. I'll bring him on. Everybody, please welcome Primetime Steve to the Chuck and Z show.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Not much. How you been?
Oh, my God. Just working all the time. Dad of a 3-year-old, so that tells you all you need to know right there. So
yeah,
I was about to say either that or there's a raptor in there somewhere.
Oh yes, no, she's angry that she's not in here on the broadcast. That's what's right now. It's actually close to bedtime, so she's not a happy girl right now. Well, you guys look great. Look at y'all. Whatever y'all are doing to stay trim, I'm doing complete opposite of that, apparently, because I don't fit in most places now. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that I walk in and they're like, I'm sorry, the maximum capacity is 10 per table, sir. And it's like, what? I'm by myself, you know? I can't hear a word you guys are saying at all. Yeah, I'm not getting any audio at all.
Oh, no. I don't know.
No. I got Chuck.
Okay.
Do you got Z?
Okay.
Woo. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So that's very interesting when we switch this. So let's do this, Sharon. Let's do some live work here. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so see where it says a sign on his face?
Yeah.
Hit a sign. You want him on the left or right?
It doesn't matter.
No, not that one. That where it actually has the picture of him. See the picture of a person right under him?
Yes.
And it has a plus.
Okay, yes, right here.
And it says either a sign left or right. Which side do you think he would look best on?
Let's do right.
All right. How's that?
Go.
There we go.
Chuck, can you still hear us, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
all right, now let's do one more
okay.
Edit. All right, so go to the top of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the middle where the camera switcher is? Go back to where you were in the middle.
Right here?
No, ma'am. Up to the very top of this. There you go.
Okay.
Now, do you see where it says the little settings icon on the right-hand side?
Yes.
Pull that down. See where it says crop?
Yes.
Unclick that. Look at that.
You're so smart.
Nice. No, I've just played with that thing for hours
I need to be
upon
playing
hours.
with that thing for hours. I mean, the computer for hours and hours and hours.
Sharon, we've talked about the dirtiness. We told you if you're going to come on the show, you can't be doing that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
She is dirty.
Okay.
Stop it right now.
Oh my God.
All right. So catching up with Steve. So Steve, you're living in Virginia now?
No, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh,
Oh, did you
Tennessee.
move-
That's right. Okay.
When did you move to Knoxville?
February.
Of
So
this
my
year?
wife Sarah has been a teacher for, 16 or 17 years now.
Okay.
Teaching high school for the most part. She was out in Paulding County, Georgia, through the first semester of school this year. And while we were on Christmas break, actually in Tennessee, about 30 minutes north of Knoxville, the University of Tennessee called her and offered her a job.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they said, we would love for you to start on January 9th. This was the day before Christmas Eve.
Holy cow.
So we had like 3 weeks to get everything straight in order together and move from Georgia to Tennessee. I said, that's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We've got a 3-bedroom house that we have to pack up, and that in and of itself is a task worthy of, multiple people helping out,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and not to mention we're still trying to work and still trying to figure out stuff and trying to come up here every weekend and find a place to live and get a house and, with suitable backyard for dogs and enough room for the family. And so finally we were able just to get someplace in South Knoxville, and she started to work, going to work for the University of Tennessee, and I sold out, and I'm no longer the cool restaurant guy. I am now working in Pigeon Forge with a vacation club.
Okay.
Nice.
Fun. We'll have to come up there. There's amazing roads up there to ride our motorcycles. So,
Oh, listen, we have bike shows up here by the hundreds
mhm.
all the time. I mean, just people coming up through here, and where I work, I'm right in the dead heart of the Smoky Mountains,
Okay.
Yeah.
and so the roads up there are tremendous to drive through. And
Well, for sure. We hit those mountains. So we will have to come by and see you because we
Oh, please.
love riding up there.
I would love that, man. I would
You
love
know,
that. I'm not-
that is an interesting thought, though.
What?
When we stopped doing Primetime Chuckles, was she a rider yet?
Mm-mm.
Was she riding motorcycles at that time, Steve?
She had just started.
Yeah.
Like you had actually just gotten a bike, and she was learning how to ride it.
Okay.
Like you were showing her, and before I knew anything was going on, once we stopped, just because of the way that people moved and schedules and stuff, we had to stop doing Primetime Chuckles, which that was always a highlight of my week, to get together with you
loved it.
guys and to do the show and to talk about pop culture stuff and UFC. It was the weirdest show. It was so bizarre. It was, just UFC and pop culture. Believe me or not, it was just
What was funny about the UFC, though, is you didn't watch it.
at all.
So every week, Z and I would have like this segment. So we did segments on the show. Right? As a matter of fact, before we get into that, we'll talk about that. I've got a little bit of a throwback for you there, Steve. If you would do me a favor, Sharon, and click that.
Warning, Primetime Chuckles may contain adult language and subject matter. It is not for kids. You have been warned.
It's Primetime Chuckles with Steve, Chuck, and Z.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Primetime Chuckles. Of course, I am Chuck.
I'm Primetime Steve.
And I'm Z.
And today we're going to talk about the UFC. Now, Z and I have watched every single UFC all the way from the jump. As a matter of fact, when I introduced Z to the UFC, we had the Fight Pass thing, and she went back and watched them all the way from the very first ones.
Yeah.
It is we actually stopped Primetime Chuckles, what, 2016?
16. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you watched a UFC ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It was funny. We would come in and I'd be like, all right, so this is why I think that Anderson Silva is going to beat Chael Sonnen, or I think this, and I would have like this elaborate breakdown, and you'd be like, you know what? I think he's got the heart and he's got the grit. And Steve would go, what are their names? Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen. Silva.
I'm just over there flipping a coin between the two of them. I'm just like, okay,
You are.
heads. I'm sorry, who was heads again?
Right? Yeah. So our show had segments on it. So we do like a movie segment, a UFC segment, and then just kind of like pop culture, just news, what's hot in the news those days. It was fun.
And I would always bring in the crazy stories,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the
love crazy stories. Yeah.
yeah, and then we would have I think probably the most infamous episode was when I cut my thing accidentally. When I dropped the razor in the shower and I was explaining to you the
Oh, yeah.
physics of how that is not possible for that to have happened, yet
Yeah.
it did happen to me
Yeah.
somehow.
I didn't remember that. It was on the
I was all right. So real quick, I was shaving my face
in the
with,
shower.
which I don't use these anymore, probably specifically for this reason, with a 5-blade razor from like Gillette or something like that. And I was shaving and it was slick and it fell out of my hand and it hit my member in a way that it just decided to swing around it. And literally I had like a 2 centimeter long razor cut and I'm looking at it like, how did that happen? That is not physically possible. It's a safety razor. Okay. Anyways, but yeah.
I'm still not convinced you weren't trying to double circumcise yourself. That's what I think personally.
It's like, it's not enough.
You know what? You
Take a
got
look
me.
up,
You
know what I
got me.
mean?
You got me. But no, I love doing that with you. It was so much fun, man. And unfortunately, lives do happen, and we moved, and you ultimately moved, and some of our jobs started taking over, and obviously, Miss Thang here blew up in the motorcycle community, so she started having all these additional duties that she had to do. And but now we've gotten to the point where we built this in the house so that we can just do it right here. It takes very little effort for us to pop in and do it, but it was it's good seeing you again, man. It really is good catching up with you. It has been forever.
Really appreciate you guys having me on tonight. It's weird because I don't do outside of doing stuff for Dragon Con because I still do am heavy with doing stuff for Dragon Con, and doing online podcasts and things like that, and we record panels to post and stuff. I don't get a lot of, I guess, stage time anymore
Okay.
because it's since my daughter was born and COVID happened, everything shut down. Comedy kind of went wayward for me. But actually, one of my goals here in Tennessee is I'm 46 now, and of course, this is a midlife shuffle for me. I just didn't buy a Corvette. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what I've decided to do is I've decided to change careers, make as much money as I can, and open up my own comedy club. And
Ooh.
there is not one here in Eastern Tennessee. You can't find one east of Chattanooga.
There's
Okay.
a really good scene in Nashville, right?
There's a great scene in Nashville,
Yeah.
especially like you have Zanies
Zanies.
Zanies.
in Nashville. You have the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga. You got a couple in Memphis. But when you come east of Chattanooga, there's just nothing. And Knoxville is a huge town. It's a big university town.
Yep.
We get some of the bigger names that come here and perform at the university, but nothing for just if you don't want to go out on a Thursday night and see a show.
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing for people to do that's not quote unquote family friendly.
Right.
Right.
So it's entertainment for all ages versus entertainment for what if you just want to go out and be at a grown up and have a drink and laugh at something that's kind of inappropriate.
Say some dirty words.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's what this area is missing. And
I mean, you want to say sometimes you just want to say shit on stage.
yeah, listen,
Not
absolutely.
shit on stage. You want to say shit on stage. So make sure I clarify because that's going to get clipped for sure.
But I mean, that's sometimes you just there are ways that people have to express themselves that are more adult,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just want to be that way.
I know.
And so that's kind of what I want to do here. I want to bring some of that kind of entertainment for the families that are on vacation in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and Sevierville, places like that, and for the college students to come and blow off steam and all, and just have a good laugh and not worry about whether or not somebody's going to get offended in the audience, because sometimes we can I just say that we've gotten so sensitive.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, if you don't want people to get offended, I'm not sure college students are the correct target.
Well,
I have a feeling you're literally inviting the exact people who will get offended if you're talking about college students.
well, and though, so like there can be like my imagining is that if I had something that were closer to Knoxville, it would be more like one of those kind of kitschy hip.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might
Not
have
on campus.
open
Gotcha.
mic nights.
Yeah.
Let them do some slam poetry, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of let it be all encompassing, because that's what college students want. They want something
Yeah.
that's they're going to give them variety. As I go more towards Sevierville and Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, where you've got all these families that are on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just want to lock the kids in the hotel and go out and have a grown-up night out,
Yeah.
and not worry about entertaining those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, just having someplace for the grown-ups to go on an adult night out and have them be able to be entertained and have a
Mhm.
good time, and among other grown-up people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know a lot of like couples that go up to Pigeon Forge and that area, and that would be awesome for them to have something, to enjoy that's not, like you said, family friendly. It's, adultish.
And
Other than
and
like the breweries.
there's nothing wrong with family friendly. I'm
Correct.
not trying to get down on that. Because I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and I like to be able to take her places and
Yeah.
to see things and do things, and be able to have entertainment that's appropriate for everybody in the
Yes.
room. But there are times when I want to drop her off at the grandparents' house and let her play there, and
Mhm.
take my wife and go someplace that will allow us to enjoy an adult beverage and laugh at things that only grown-ups get.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about cartoons or Sesame
You know-
Street or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you might be one of the few people that would prove one of my theories wrong, because I do remember when I would get into like really hammering Disney and stuff,
Uh-huh.
you were like, oh, but I love like certain Disney movies, and I do love certain Disney movies as well, but I have gotten into little arguments with my friends who have kids over the fact that they try to convince me, oh, have you seen Frozen? You gotta see it. And I'm like, do I gotta see it? And they're like,
No.
oh, have you seen In and Out? What is that? What is the one? Not In and Out. The one with the emotions or something. Is it In and Out?
I don't remember.
Anyways, but it's like, oh, you have to see it.
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Oh, you got to see it. You got to. It's like the best movie. And I'm like, I bet it ain't. I bet it's not good at all.
I mean,
The reason you say that is because you have to watch it, and you trying to suck me in.
it's so subjective
It is.
that when I am forced to watch a Disney movie, do I want other people that I know to suffer as well? Absolutely, I do. I don't want to suffer alone and in silence. I'm going to tell you, oh my God, what an amazing movie! It changed my life, and I will never be the same again. Please. And then when you watch it, I laugh
Yeah.
maniacally behind the wall, and because you are suffering the way that I suffered. But no, you don't have any small kids, so you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Not anymore.
That's hilarious. I think that's what our friends try to do.
They
just want
do.
to torture us.
I've got one though, the one that was on me about Frozen, and then I was like, oh my God, shut up. I will sit down and watch this stupid movie. Thank you for the torture. I appreciate it. And I sit down and watch it, and I'm like, yeah, it's ass. It's absolute ass. This movie sucks. Well, let me get this straight. The girl is a superhero and kind of an asshole, right? Because her sister sits at her door for what, 14 years? I just wasn't going to play with mom and dad are dead. They're dead. I got servants. I got no one to play with me. And we're supposed to see this as the hero of the movie? We're supposed to root for this person at some point? I was like, what a garbage little kid. I don't like her. And then she's offended. She's like, oh, well, you're taking it too seriously. I was like, but you told me this was the best movie ever, which puts it in the realm, best movie ever. Godfather, Goodfellas. You're over here telling me I got to watch Frozen as if it's going to affect me the way Ferris Bueller's Day Off did.
Oh my God.
Like it's going to change my life. And I'm like, no, you're just like a coffee drinker who's like bragging about black coffee. You just gotta, oh, this is the thing I like. So you must, no, you're trapped watching these god awful movies and it's ruined your barometer. Or you're Steve and you're just trying to wrap me up into an hour and a half I'll never get back.
That's correct. I just want you to be as miserable as me.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it out loud.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
Being a father has made me very honest. He's the most honest person in the world.
Too tired to lie.
I listen, I scream in the middle of the grocery store for no reason whatsoever. And I'm like, look, I'm tired. And I've been working all day on my feet. I sharted a little a minute ago. I'm ready just to go home. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember those days when Z and I, obviously this is not either of our first marriage. It's my favorite marriage. It's the longest relationship.
Better be.
It's the longest relationship I've had in my company. I forgot what I was going to say after you said you were going to cut me. I literally forgot what I was going to say. What was I saying right before that?
You were talking about kids and the fact that we don't have any.
No, whatever. Oh yeah, when we met, there was a conversation, right? Do you want more kids? And I think you and I both had about a 3-second no. I think because
1, 2, 3.
No. And I think the reason why was I don't think I would be a good father anymore. Not of a little one. For me, right? I would not get up. I'm not getting up.
well, right. So okay, so but that's the thing though, right? You've done that already. You've put your time in.
Yeah.
You and Z both. You know, you've raised your children, and now it's time for you guys to enjoy each other and enjoy life and doing the things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I did that in kind of reverse order.
Yeah.
Is that I waited a long time to get married, and have my family. I did my traveling as a comedian and making movies and things like that. I did all that when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and now as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm getting a little more settled. You know, shoot. Now I'm the guy that goes to bed at 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
I'm in bed at 9:30 at night because I have to be up at 5:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
to get ready to go to work. And I never thought I'd be that guy.
Yeah, that's when you typically would be going to bed is like at 5.
At 5 o'clock in the morning. Hell yeah! After a night of drinking and being at this bar and that bar and
Mm-hmm.
doing stand up shows until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
you know those are great times. They make me tired to think about them now.
I know, right?
Now we went out for Mexican food the other night. Give you an example, and I had a margarita, and they were like, "Do you want to do one of those jumbo margaritas?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What? What do I look like a little girl?" Absolutely, I want to do a jumbo. That was the biggest mistake of my life because I couldn't finish my dinner. I was so tired
Holy
to get. I'm like falling asleep at the table. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I think I'm 90 years old and I can't do this anymore. I think I should be in bed with an IV hooked up in my arm."
Yeah. The margaritas will get you. They'll either like get you crazy or get really tired.
I was so sleepy. I was like, my wife was like, "Do you drive home?" I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't really know. Actually, I don't be honest with you. We live 2 blocks from the Mexican restaurant."
Oh wow.
I'm like, "I think I got to leave the car here. I don't think I'm going to make it home. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to call an Uber or something."
That'll be 50 cents. be a 50
Well, I'm
cent
not going to
Uber.
make him just try to direct me to the house. I'm going to make him circle the block 3 or 4 times just to kind of make the ride worthwhile.
Right?
Get that minimum fee out.
Just once more around the park there, James. Come on. Let's.
Stop. My cheeks hurt, guys. I forgot I used to laugh the whole entire time.
You did. It was funny because you would always come with like things you wanted to talk about, and then you would just laugh the
Yes.
entire podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Steve. So I was gonna bring up, if we can for a moment, you and I met originally through Bryn, a dear friend of ours. She was a writing partner of mine. When I was writing screenplays, and we worked on a little independent film called Local Charity.
Uh-huh.
And I still get to see Jason every now and then. And
Do you really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I still do. He's actually been on the podcast a couple of times. But I just remember meeting you for the first time, and just your sardonic, jolly humor somehow always just cracked me up. Do you know what I mean? It's both sardonic, but also jolly. Like I don't think
It's a
anybody else
pleasant-
could get away with it. It's just the Steve thing. And I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about getting on stage, and you're not doing it anymore. But are you still writing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, I was at work the other day, and I was talking about some of the films that we had worked on, like 6 Degrees of Desperation. Um,
That's right.
working on
Yeah.
working on Local Charity, which I'm always upset that we never got to even start filming that one,
Yeah.
because I would have loved to have seen some of that come to life, because we worked really hard to put pen to
Yeah.
paper and make that a reality.
We got close
Um,
with it. We did. We got
we
close
did.
with it.
We did. There was that one, and there was what was
1.8
the
days.
one? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we were pretty close with 1.8 days.
1.8 days, and that's the other one that I really. I mean, I can remember us getting excited because we were actually getting people attached
Yep.
to the project. People were saying, I mean, we had 1 or 2 that were firmly attached to the project.
Yeah.
We had other people underground saying, "Yeah, if you can get the money, I'll do it." And I'm talking about names that people would recognize
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, that was and there's one name that I will mention because it is a famous name in my household now, because it's literally how I cheers. So I actually think I'm going to do it. You want to cheer? You want to drink? Here. So I can't talk while I'm doing this. So we have these mainstream actors attached to the film, and we've actually got our initial funding. One of the things that you do is you can use your tax credits from films to go get paper against. So we had all the tax credits lined up, and we actually had an independent film production company that was footing the initial 20%. So all we had to do at that point was get, because the tax credits come after. So you actually don't, you can get someone to finance it, but they take a significant amount, and we didn't have that in the budget. So we get these other people signed, and then I bring on a pretty good line producer who did a great budget for us. And then we brought on this executive who had worked with some of the most well-known names in the industry, like one of the biggest production companies in the world. She was the guy who ran it, his assistant, right? So I'm like, that's the key. Like, she's going to be able to help unlock those doors. And she's a great person. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say anything negative about her. She was a great person, and she worked very hard on it. But after we had what I would consider, he wasn't at the time, he is now, an A-lister attached. We then had a couple of other folks attached that probably were B and C, but they're people that I love and that I've always wanted to work with, right? So we had 3 named actors attached. And she takes the screenplay and she's shopping it to some other folks. She calls me and she goes, "Hey, we have interest from an Academy Award winning actor. He just wants to play the cop in this screenplay." And I was like, okay, That sounds like a win for me. Who is it? She goes, it's Gary Busey. And I said,
Yeah.
Buddy Holly Gary Busey? Motorcycle rider Gary Busey? Absolutely. Sign him. Let's get that done. Inked it that day. They signed it with him that day. 2 days later, we get a call and says, hey, he's going on Entertainment Tonight. I think it was Entertainment Tonight.
Yes.
And he would like to talk about the film. And I was like, okay, cool. No problem. That's awesome publicity. So we stay up to watch this episode, and he didn't get on there. So then it was the next day, and they were like, hey, by the way, he didn't make it on last night, but he's on there tonight. So, because I told everybody, well, Gary Busey is going to be talking about my movie on a famous TV show. So he was on the next day and proceeds to have an infamous meltdown. It's one of the worst interviews you'll ever see. He literally is screaming at the ladies, at the people that interview him. He's saying things like, I'm going to rip out your endocrine system and make a hat. I mean, they set him up a little bit. They put him in a straitjacket, kind of joking around. Gary Busey's crazy. So he's acting additionally crazy, right? Which would have been fine. I could have got through that. But then they specifically in the interview section start asking him about our movie. And I almost know it verbatim. They go, Gary, tell us about your new movie. And he goes, what movie? And he goes, your new 3D horror movie. And he goes, oh no, that's not how you ask the question. And he gets all annoyed. And so then he goes, ask me again. And they go back to it. And I said, Gary, please tell us about your new 3D horror movie, 1.8 Days. And he gets really upset. No, that's what I say. That's not what you say. Starts yelling at this lady. And you hear his publicist in the background going, Gary, she's just asking about the movie. She's just asking about the movie. And he goes, that's not how you do it. That's not how you ask the question. And then so they cut to where they say what they said at the very beginning. Tell us about your new movie. And he goes, oh, it's going to be neat. It's in 3D, right? And I'm like watching this going, this is a disaster. This is bad. But he's just in a bit part, so maybe it's not gonna be that bad until the soup grabbed it. And then the soup just laid into him. I actually the clip's on my Instagram somewhere, I think. Laid into him about it. And literally everyone backed out the next day.
Oh yeah.
Literally everyone.
Yeah.
The 20% financer, I can't. All the folks that were attached no longer returning calls. And so now, to this day, we cheers, fuck Gary Busey.
So
I'll go you here. That's the fuck Gary Busey. We worked so hard to make that a reality, and we were so close, Chuck. We were so close.
That screenplay was tight. We worked on that thing. We really I actually have watched movies over the last few years, your Deadpools, that irreverent, brutal comedy mixed with extreme violence. So the movie was called 1.8 Days because it took place over 1.8 days. It was about these, I mean, I have it copywritten, so I'll tell you the lines. It was about these 5 people who all hated each other and they were trying to kill each other, right? And they converge on this small town as they're chasing this group. And in the middle of when they're trying to kill each other, an apocalypse breaks out. A zombie apocalypse breaks out. And the key is, if they could just get along, if they could just stop trying to kill each other, they'd probably make it out. But they can't stop trying to kill each other. And the zombies are actually, because they're all like trained badasses, the zombies are more of an annoyance.
Nuisance.
It's like they're not worried about the apocalypse. They're annoyed that they can't kill each other. And so as they're trying to survive it, they're constantly trying to sabotage each other till ultimately the end of the movie.
I don't remember, Chuck, exactly what part it was, because Brendan said, "Do you want to work on the production side of it, or do you want to be in it?" And I said, ultimately, for this, with the way this is going to blow up, I would like to be in it, so that I can get enough street cred to work on the back end of things, on the behind the camera, at some point. Because when I worked on 6 Degrees of Desperation, some of my favorite moments were when you guys let me have the director's chair and directing certain scenes of that film that were that's some of the highlights for me. I loved doing that. I loved working with that because it tapped such creativity in me that I didn't know that I had. But I forget what part it was that I was supposed to play in the film. It was supposed to be some sort of a mobster character of some sort.
You were the cop. So you were the cop's informant. Like you were a guy who tipped the cop
right.
off. Yeah.
So you were going to be talking to Gary Busey.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Well, Bren said, "Get ready," because literally, we were at the door. Just get ready because you're about to blow up.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Damn.
We all were. I mean, it was.
Fuck Gary Busey.
Well,
in retrospect, yeah.
Yes, but the reality is my life would be very different now if that would have happened.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
And as much as making films and all that has been a dream of mine for a long time, and I'm still writing screenplays, Steve. I just do it on the side and when I have time. But I don't know how well I would do in the current atmosphere because I don't play nice. And if you remember 1.8 days, it was in your face. There's a lot of stuff in there that would not be considered PC or that would go over well today. So I'm curious as to how well I would fare in that world today.
I honestly think, Chuck, that it would be. I think it would be accepted really, really well. I think people are tired of tiptoeing around things, and sometimes, just like Tarantino used to do, you just have to say it out loud. You just throw it out there and just let it be out there, and to hell with whoever doesn't care for it.
Yeah.
Put it out there, see if they like it.
I don't give a shit if they like it or not. I'm going to put it out there because that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's honestly, sometimes that's what you have to do because right now we're so marginalized and so polarized in this country that you can't swing a dead cat without hitting 12 people you're going to offend and 12 people who are going to like the feel of the fur against their face. You know what I mean? So it's a split group.
It is.
And who cares?
Nah, you're right. You're 100% right. I mean, you're right. But it's funny when you said swing a dead cat, my brain went to PETA. And then the next thing it went to, we were actually writing the sequel. And so I'm not going to, the people that survived this zombie apocalypse, well, my thought was, what would actually happen if there was a zombie apocalypse, right?
Mm-hmm. There
would be certain people who would protest killing zombies. They would see it as they would.
Oh, for sure. It would a complete violation of the zombie rights.
That's right. It's 100%. So we created an organization that was angry at the people that because of what they had done in this town, and they were going after them to try to attack them because they had killed all these zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And we called the organization PETS.
I knew it.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Zombies.
I knew it. PETZ, right? I was definitely going to say that. I didn't even know that was what it was.
And the tagline was, zombies used to be human too.
But that was even before all this
That was
craziness
for Walking
happened.
Dead. That was before. What inspired me to write that one to come up with the concept was I love Shaun of the Dead. It is by far outside of Ash versus the Army of Darkness, which might be more considered fantasy, not necessarily zombie.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as zombie movies, Shaun of the Dead is my favorite zombie movie of all time. I love
So
that
fun.
movie. I can watch it over and over and over again. So I had written another screenplay that they really liked the way I wrote, the people that were looking to finance this movie, but they said it was a passion project. It was like a personal story, and they wanted me to write something commercial. And they said zombies are popular. And I said, well, if I'm going to write a zombie movie, the zombies aren't going to be the main theme in the movie. They're going to be an annoyance because they annoy me. I want to write.
Just want them gone.
I want to write a different movie.
So funny.
But anyways,
Well,
that's
I remember the two guys, and again, we're not going to say names, but the two guys that we had attached to play the two lead characters who used to be best friends, who wound up hating each other, and those there were some of the funniest lines
yeah.
we have ever written. I mean, and we've written a lot of stuff together, and I've been currently writing one right now that's called well, the working title is Family Affair, but it's about um, a group of friends from high school and college who wound up with the one single guy as their friend who is the godfather for all of their children. But he's also the one who's the workaholic. He's never around anymore. So they all go on vacation together and their plane goes down and he winds up getting charge of all 12 of their children
Oh, wow.
at the same time.
Does he
And
like whip the dead cat around?
I mean, well, at some point something's going to happen. But I'm writing this right now from thinking back to trying to channel the energy that we used to have when we used to get together and put pen to paper. And
Yeah, I remember even some of the banter was created from you and I going back and forth. Like, so one of the characters, so the movie has two guys in it that are really well. One's a former UFC fighter, which, by the way, this was written in 07.
Yeah. So
Right.
UFC was like what, 5 years
I mean,
old?
so at the
No,
time that I was
10 years
writing,
old?
at the time I was older than that at that time. No, a little bit, because it started in 92, so that would have been 15 years. But so it was kind of like that, those themes. I had a point, dadgummit.
It was
I
written
gotta
in
stop
07.
drinking. I gotta stop drinking.
well, it was the banter. Some
Oh,
of
the
banter.
banter. So they would constantly argue. So they're trying to defend themselves, but they couldn't stop bickering back and forth the whole time. And it was always like this macho one-upsman stuff, right? And one of them, like, I think one of my favorite lines I wrote was, and I know that sounds so, one of the favorite things I ever wrote, by the way. I feel like I'm on, what's that show with the old guy interviewing the actors? The actor studio?
Actor studio.
Would you
Inside.
tell me, what is the favorite thing
Inside.
you've ever written? So I think the favorite thing I ever wrote, and it's going to sound stupid now, but basically they were arguing back and forth. And there's a scene in Enter the Dragon where Jim Kelly says, man, that guy's straight out of a comic book, right?
Mhm.
And I love that line so much. So one of the guys he's a really good fighter, but he's kind of an idiot. And he walks up and he's talking about another guy who's a bad guy. And he goes, man, that guy's straight out of a coloring book. And he goes, and the other guy goes, I'm sorry, did you say coloring book? And he goes, yeah, like Enter the Dragon. He goes, comic book. He goes, don't be telling me nothing about no Enter the Dragon. And so they end up fighting
Because of his ego.
because man, that guy's straight out of a coloring book.
You guys need to make this movie.
I know. It's so good.
So good.
Oh, you're a little biased.
No, I've read the script. It's actually pretty good.
Clearly,
I would tell you if it was crap.
Oh, thank you, baby. I appreciate that. You would too. I'll bounce stuff off of her every now and then. Like, hey, what do you think of this? And she's like,
Stop while you're ahead. Stop while you're ahead.
no, you've written some good things, Chuck, but that ain't it. I'm oh shit. All right, but you need that, right?
Yeah.
Well, sure. If you have someone that's going to be honest with you about what you're writing, then you're going to wind up keeping the stuff that is worth keeping.
Yeah.
Because a lot. I mean, most of the stuff that I write as a comedian, And I do try to write every day. I do try to come up with stuff every single day just to keep it fresh, because you never know when I'm going to get back on stage.
Mhm.
I'm actually really itching to get back on stage really soon, I hope.
Let's
Um,
go.
I'm ready to do it. And I want all of my material to be fresh and new and not have to rehash any of the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Although I really enjoyed a lot of my old stuff, but I mean, if most of the stuff that I write is crap. Most of the stuff I write is crap.
Yeah.
It's ones that you have to pick through the crap to get the diamonds out of there.
Right.
It's like going to what's the Shirley, Arkansas, okay, where you can dig in the dirt for $20, and if you find a diamond, you get to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, that woman found that diamond over there was worth like $8 million.
Well, I mean, a shitty diamond's still a diamond.
A shitty diamond is still a diamond, and you can polish that bad boy up and make it shine, and that's what people are going to see and know.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And that's what most writers go through. They go through 20 pounds of shit to find that diamond.
So true.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. When do you have a time frame that you're looking at as far as trying to get together with the comedy club?
To get a comedy club open here, I'm looking at probably about a 5 to 6 year plan.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to do it the right way, to where everything is zoned properly. Pigeon Forge specifically is very Dolly Parton entertainment.
Yeah, I heard she's
Henry.
becoming a rock star now.
Oh, really?
She's doing a rock
Listen,
album.
she's 80 plus years old and is still incredible and entertaining, and
Amazing.
she still gets out there and does it all the time. She was just here opening up a new ride at Dollywood.
Saw that.
I mean, who does that? I mean, if you're that big and you still come back to open up and dedicate a new roller coaster at your theme park,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just who you are, and she wants to be hands-on with all that stuff. But she's also very conscious about being family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to keep it PC. I
get that.
So that every dollar is maximized. People that come here to spend their money, they're going to come here and spend it and feel comfortable spending it here. So I want to make sure that I'm doing it the right way, that where we are is zoned properly for us to be able to do what we want to do and have the place we want to have. And so I'll say 5 to 6 years with that. But working in the job that I'm working at now, I'll have plenty of money to do that.
Yay.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
Plenty
you.
of money is always a good thing.
It's not a bad thing, that's for sure.
So you're working at a vacation club, so we can book through you, apparently.
Yes.
Our next vacation.
So I'll be honest, I work for Club Wyndham.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Wyndham Hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I work for Wyndham Resorts.
Okay.
It's what timeshare used to be, but has evolved into something that is no longer timeshare. It's more of a vacation club that allows them to travel when they want to travel.
That sounds like Invigoron.
No, Chuck, just come and have a cup of coffee with us in the morning, and let's talk
Just a
about
cup of
taking
coffee?
vacation.
So that coffee's going to take 4 hours, and then I'm going to have to go
That's
through
delicious.
7 people on the way out the door.
It's so good. It has
Z-
a kind of an odd complacency flavor.
So, real quick, when Z and I first started dating, we didn't have much. We didn't have a lot of money or anything like that. We were trying to take a vacation. We were scrounging together. I think we had like $300 for the weekend, right? It's all we had for this whole weekend. And so Z calls me and she's like, I can get us a free hotel in Myrtle Beach for 3 nights, 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, for real?
Pretty nice resort too.
And I was like, how much is that going to cost? She's like, oh, it's like $100 for us. And I was like, no. And she's like, yes. And I was like, so wait a minute. What's the catch here? She goes, all we got to do is we have a breakfast we have to go to on Saturday morning. And I was like, oh, I see what it is. It's one of those things where they try to get you to sign up for something. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, 2 hours? All right. You're there like 7 hours.
It was not. It was a long time though. It was like 5 hours.
I
You've seen
exaggerated.
the well. Listen, have you seen the South Park episode where they go to the mountains and take the
No.
time to do a presentation? They're just going to go take a 1 hour presentation so they can go skiing for the whole weekend.
Right.
And every time they get on the ski lift, it takes them into another building where they have to do another time.
So they never go
And
skiing.
Believe
my
it or
God.
not, for salespeople in my position, it's our favorite episode of South Park for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's an exaggeration of the truth.
Yeah.
I sit with people for a couple hours, but I look at it like this. I really don't care whether people buy my program or not. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm going to show you a way that I can save you money taking vacations. If you want it, you can have it. If you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't affect my pay one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
South Park. So they have my favorite episode of South Park. I have two because
Okay.
they're really close together. One is the Scientology episode with Tom
Oh,
Cruise.
so good.
It is phenomenal.
So
But
good.
But the other one is the Harley episode where they make fun of Harley riders. And I am a Harley rider, right? I ride Harleys. So when I see it, at first I don't want to like it. But then as they keep showing it, I'm like, I fucking know those guys. I know the guys they're talking about. So I can't be that mad at them for it. No, it is not representative of all of us, but I know those guys. So it's hard for me not to be like, oh, they got me, right? they got me. I mean, because I 100% know those guys who just have to make the noise for the sake of making the noise to get the attention. I get it. But it is, in my opinion, spot on. Even though I have to own a little bit of that as a Harley rider, it is spot on for a certain segment of the Harley community, no doubt.
That's spot on for people in the muscle car community and
Yes.
people that take the mufflers off their car and
Yes.
it's called a muffler for a reason because it shuts the hell up and lets me think for a little while
Do you
while
remember
you're driving by.
Do you remember cherry bombs?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They were the loudest, most obnoxious, not good sounding pieces of shit I've ever heard in my life. And second to those, and I drive a TRX, so I drive a big truck. Second to those are these trucks that have these big ass pizza size openings on the back of their trucks that are like puffing out literally a chimney stack of smoke.
A carbon footprint so long.
Their carbon
my
footprint,
God, yes.
it literally, so America is like responsible for 10% of the world's carbon footprint. If it weren't for those fuckers, we'd only be 2%.
Right. Holy cow.
I mean, it literally looks like old school locomotive smoke.
It does. I thought I was like, what? Somebody like
I think
cleaning a chimney?
I think there's something wrong with your engine.
Is there a train?
when I see that much
No,
smoke?
there's just two little guys inside shoveling coal into a hot fire.
This motherfucker's got a steam engine in this bitch. It's a coal engine in this mug.
Oh my god.
That's
So
why they're so
silly.
tall, so the guys can stand up.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Steve, do you guys have family still living here in Georgia?
Yeah, well, my family lives in Georgia, so my mom is there. We lost my stepdad at the beginning of 2021 due to COVID.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, he and I, it was very sad. We went into the hospital on the same day, actually, because I had double pneumonia. I literally almost died myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not too many people know that, but the doctor told me that I was very, very close to not being here anymore. And I came out on the other side with a different perspective on life. My stepdad didn't make it out, unfortunately, but my mom is still there. My dad and stepmom are there. My brother's there. But my sisters and other brothers, they live in Tennessee, up in Nashville.
Okay.
Sarah's family lives up here in Tennessee, and then she's got a sister in Florida. So
Oh, nice.
we're going to spread out a little bit, but
Yeah. I mean,
I
you're
still-
not too far.
well, no, I mean, from where I used to live in Georgia, where I live now, I'm a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not a bad drive to get there. As a matter of fact, I'm probably coming down weekend after next for a friend's funeral in Atlanta. So
I'm up in Nashville quite a bit, so one of these days I'm going to pop over to Knoxville and see you. But we also ride up in that area a lot. So
we're actually going camping in Cherokee, North Carolina, which is not that far from you guys at all.
that's just over the other side of the mountains from us. So I mean, literally you come right over the mountain there, and you're in Gatlinburg.
Exactly.
And where I work is 15 minutes north of Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Well, Steve,
I work at the Great Smokies Lodge. So
okay.
Well, we'll definitely hit you up the next time we're that way. Well, listen, brother, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I've really enjoyed catching up with you. I miss you. So I definitely got to get to see you sometime soon.
Yeah.
Give my love to Sarah. Okay. And I haven't met the little one yet. So definitely want to do that sometime soon.
Oh, yeah.
Could you, I know you still have Instagram, social media and all that. Can you throw those tags out so people can follow you?
Yeah, I'm PTS Comic 77 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm just Stephen R. Denham. But I also have a Facebook page for Primetime Steve as well. So yeah, those are the places you can usually find me. And just hit me up. Yeah, send me a friend request, and I love good conversation, man. Let's hang out and let's talk. And
absolutely. Well, real quick, by the way, you and Z both have been on me for years to do an open mic. I still haven't done it yet.
He's failed for years.
I still haven't done it. I will do it at some point, I'm sure. A friend of mine is actually getting ready to start opening a comedy club here locally, and I'm probably going to try to do it there. But I'll promise you, brother, I will get on stage at one point and do it.
Oh, please, Z, tape it and let me see it. I want to see it.
Absolutely.
Because I've always said he's got the demeanor to do well on stage.
Agreed.
And he's got the sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, I love you. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Love you, Steve.
Everybody out there, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much for the folks that have been subscribing over the last couple of weeks. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everyone that is involved. Hit us up on Instagram if you want some stickers, because we've got a bunch of them to give away. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
Steve.
So good to see you, Steve.
So good to see you, bro.
And your kitty.
And the cat. That's a live cat. Don't swing that one. It's alive.
Don't swing it.
Don't swing the live cat.
On that.
Oh, she's used to it, actually.
Love it.
All right. Later, brother.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.